Shooting the Shit podcast, coming to you live from Studio 1B here in Jacksonville, Florida. What is up, all you crazy people? It is around midnight. We're doing the podcast, and we're going to try to do a podcast over here on Ustream and just get it out there and get the name going, because I've always wanted to do a podcast, and I have a podcast that's on Spreaker.com, but I think the video podcast is where it's all at. There we go. And what I'm talking to you guys today is, today I went to the mall here we go. I went to the mall to go shopping, and I went to this tea store called Tijuana, and usually I have no problems with getting my tea, just going in there and having a great time, getting the tea, talking to the girls that work there, and then I leave. And there was one guy who walked in right when I did. So he was walking in, and I walked in about 5 seconds behind him, so there was no problem with him getting his tea, and he was asking some questions, and I was perfectly fine with him getting his order. Then there's another worker that works in the same store, and he was standing over there where the teas are being made, and he wasn't really doing much, and he looked at me once and smiled. And I looked at him and I was like, okay, he's going to look at me and actually ask if I need any help. And apparently he thought I didn't need help, because about 10 minutes later I was still waiting. And I looked at him and I'm like, you're going to help me? And he just smiles at me and then walks around the store and goes to the front where he's greeting another customer. And so what I did is I said, fuck it. And I backed up and I walked out, and he lost a customer that day. If you're going to treat somebody like pieces of crap, you shouldn't be working customer service. Customer service people should always help your customers. Customers come first before you do products. If you're supposed to put out like samples of tea, you're supposed to help your customers and say, hey, do you need any help? And if I would have said, no, I'm just waiting, then he would have been on to do his job. But for me to let him do that to me, I was like, nah, this is stupid. I'm done. And I walked out because I didn't want to deal with his bullshit, because it pissed me off, because usually I go work out and then I go get a tea. That's just how I am. I get a normal iced tea because it tastes delicious and it's good for you. And this clown was sitting there literally dancing around like this. And I'm like, I'm thinking, like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be helping your customers, not be dancing around like a fucking fool. But, of course, this kid was like, well, I'm going to dance around. You get paid for dancing? What a dummy. Get a real life. Get a real job. Help your customers when they come in to need help. Because if I were customer service, the first thing I would do is walk right up to the customer, even if I was busy, and ask, hey, do you need any help? And they'd go, nope, I'm pretty good. Then if they would have said they're pretty good, then what I would have done is I would have said, oh, okay, cool, you're good. And then I wouldn't even have bothered with asking if they need any help, because what's the point of asking somebody if they need help? If they tell you no, then you go back and do what you're doing. But if you're actually not asking for help, and the customer's sitting there and he's been there for 5 or 10 minutes, and your other employee is busy, you're supposed to step up and be like, hey, can I help you? But he didn't even help me, so he pissed me off, so I walked out. And I really wanted to say something, just get up in his face and say, how come you didn't help me? How come you're not helping me? And then he'd go, well, I didn't know you needed help. What? I'm in your store trying to buy something. Don't tell me I don't need help. But what happens is, later today, I go to get a gallon of water, or I should just say a bottle of water, from the gas station, which is not far from my house, probably about a 5-minute walk. So what's the point of getting in a car or riding a bike up there? You can walk and get your exercise. And what happens is, this guy at the gas station literally looks at me when I'm checking out, and he goes, and I was like, what? He's like, these mints, they're for you. And I'm like, nah, I don't want it. And he goes, they're free. And actually on the box it says like 10 or 20 cents or something like that. And I'm like, no, I don't need them. He goes, they're for people like you. And I'm like, what do you mean like me? Are you telling me my breath smells like shit or something? I mean, if I would have smelled like shit, I would have known, because I just brushed my teeth, took a bath, and I headed out to the thing. So I know I didn't smell like shit. And he looked at me like, you smell like shit. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I went out with a hot date the other day on Sunday, and she never said nothing. She looked at me and smiled and said I look good, and you're telling me I smell like shit? You are a lowlife. And the dude, after I said, no, I don't need your stupid little mints, he goes back to work like, oh, okay, I'll just go to work, and that's it. Dude, if you're going to bother somebody with asking them if they need mint, then that's stupid, because he didn't ask the hot chick that was in front of me. She definitely looked hot, and he didn't even bother to be like, hey, honey, you need some mints because your breath smells like shit. No, he's trying to do that to me. That's stupid, because that pissed me off. And you don't do that to somebody. Even if their breath smells like shit, you don't go, hey, well, we got free gum. Would you want some gum? No, you don't do that. You don't ask somebody if they need mints or something. Because I think that's rude. Even if you want to tell somebody the breath stinks, that's being completely rude. Like, dude, your breath stinks. You don't even bring that up, because I would certainly wouldn't. Because it definitely will give off the wrong hint that you're being a complete ass. I would never say that, even if someone did smell like shit. I wouldn't be like, dude, you smell like shit. But obviously, if you smell like shit and you're used to it, then you're going to be used to smelling like shit. But that's what happened today. And I read an article that this inmate, they were in Atlanta, and what happened is somehow they were able to record a rap song and put it out and make an actual rap song and rap video with the equipment from the jail, and they were able to upload this to social media, so Facebook or Twitter or wherever they upload it to, probably Facebook and YouTube. And now there's people investigating it, saying, how did you get a hold of this video equipment to be able to film a rap video while you're in prison? And how did you upload it to the internet? To me, that's crazy. I don't see how they got away with uploading it to the internet and was able to record. Are they going to record in their jail cell? Be like, we're a hardcore jail cell number 3. Let's get a rap on. Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's the big dogs. Y'all effing with the insane clowns. Get down. That smoke. Hash on that pound. Like, are you really going to write about like jail stuff? We're on the playground. We're on the playground. We're getting ready to play basketball. You see the thugs in the back? The thugs are in the back. What about the thug? The big-ass thugs in the back working out. Better watch out. Don't drive yourself or he'll pound you out. Like, shit like that? Really? Like, that's the kind of shit you would hear. I don't know what you would hear in jail. It's not going to be like, driving in my 6'4", smoking that blunt. You ain't going to hear that kind of stuff, because they're not doing that, you know. They're not smoking weed in the prisons. At least I don't think so. They're not talking on cell phones. They're talking to hotties. So I don't really know what a jail rap would be about. But jail hard rock. I don't know. But it's mind blowing that they were able to upload this to Facebook or whatever social media website they were using. But at the end of the day, guys, that's crazy to me that they were able to upload this and get away with it. I mean, they obviously had somebody on the inside helping them out, like a security guard or something, because there's no way you could easily film a video unless it was half-assed made, you know, like real shitty made. But it was in Atlanta prison, and they say they are actually looking over it to see what actually happened. And I just want to let you guys know, if you go to Spreaker.com and type in The Metal Show, my actual radio podcast comes up. And I just want to let you guys know, if you guys are into anything metal or metal in metal music, you should definitely check it out, because it's all about metal, rock music, and anything music related, because I love music, and just playing music is a passion of mine. And if I could get this podcast growing and more successful than it already is, I would really love it. Like, I would really love a platform where I could get at least like 50 people watching it every day, or 100,000 people listening to it, or even 1,000 people, or even 300 people listening to it and commenting and enjoying it. That's my passion, to really put out good content so you guys can listen to it. I know there's a few people who actually listen to the metal show, and I try to put out at least once a week with some good artists, and I just love talking. I love the aspect of interacting with other people. So if you guys ever want to join me on the podcast, the only way I could do it, unless you come to my house and do a podcast, would be doing it over Google Plus, where you can both shoot the shit and upload a podcast. That's the best way to do it. Yes, the audio, for some reason, when you do it over Google Plus, is kind of compressed. That's what it is. The word is compressed. It doesn't sound as great, and I don't know why that is, and I don't know if you guys can tell me. I know it does say it's 720p or 1080p over there, but in reality, I don't really think it's really streaming at that high a quality, because I'm just using the web camera. It does 1080p, but there's no way I don't think it's streaming at 1080p. Wow, you're fighting over cheeseburgers. Miami Beach, Florida, November 3rd, a brawl at Miami Beach Five Guys restaurant was caught on cell phone video and posted to Facebook. It's unclear what sparked the fight Monday, but the video shows that a female and several employees were involved. The Five Guys was packed with customers, as they always are, many recording. Okay. So it says, well, the video is unavailable. It says, this video may no longer exist, or you don't have the permission to view it. So I can't really see what happens, but people are fighting in the Five Guys. You probably can look it up and find it somewhere else, like on YouTube or something. But why would you go to Five Guys and start a fight? You know, I can understand if you're pissed off at somebody, but never fight in public, because that makes you look like a savage, ravage animal, and that's not what you want to look at. It's like, oh, I'm a savage fucking beast, which you're not. You want to look like a civil individual, and to hear that, I mean, Five Guys is like In-N-Out Burger for the East Coast. It's all over the East Coast, Florida, everywhere, and it's a very popular burger joint. It's very popular. The food is good. I don't really consider it fast food, because they actually cook your burgers and actually take like 10, 12 minutes to cook your burgers. And you can see them cooking it on a grill. Even if they're frozen patties or not, they're still literally cooking your burgers and not like heating it up in the microwave and giving it to you. Because I've literally had food from McDonald's where I would literally take before I even give my debit card to the lady, she's already giving me the food. And I'm like, wait. No. That's why a lot of times when you actually go to McDonald's or Burger King, they say, make this sandwich very unique. So they have to make it fresh. You can say, I want a chicken sandwich with no mayo, with mustard, ketchup, lettuce, pickles, onions, jalapenos, and they will make it for you, because they don't typically have that. They typically have it the way it comes on the menu. Besides, that's it. So for people to brawl in the thing, that's, to me, it's stupid. But like I said, if you want to go to like YouTube or Facebook or go on whatever and look up brawl, it says, just say Miami Five Guys brawl, and you'll probably come up with some sort of video, because right now on the article I'm reading, there's no video whatsoever. It was taken down. And probably someone took it down because they didn't want to get in trouble. And it's like, or probably go to World Star Hip Hop. They'll probably have it, because you probably have some clown out there. World Star. It's like, you want to get your fucking 15 minutes of fame, you know. It's like we as people are like the reporters nowadays. You see a fight break out at the Taco Bell, we pull out our cell phones and we're like holding it there. World Star Hip Hop, vlogging hip hop. It's like, World Star Hip Hop used to be a website dedicated to hip hop, and now it seems like it's more dedicated to street fights. It should be called World Star Street Fights, because that's all it is. You have like Kimbo Slice fights, you have people getting head stomped. That's all it is, man. And for me, I never ever go to that website. It's like, it's either street fights. They even have a World Star hip hop Vine, and it's like 6 seconds of like people getting their ass whipped. That's all it is. And some of the stuff, I'm like, are you really be showing this stuff? Some of this is real bad, where it shows like some kid like me, let's say, just walking down the street and you see a bunch of kids just jump them and they're swinging on them, and then they upload it, and World Star is like, yeah, we post that shit because that's what happens on the street. It's gritty. I think it might be gritty, but it's insane what kind of shit they're posting, you know. Some of that stuff I'm like, wow, they really post that on on there. Some of that stuff you can't even post on YouTube because it's so violent. YouTube doesn't really like a lot of violence. You can post maybe an MMA fight at best, but you're not really posting people getting head stomped. And you can post that on WorldStar. I don't think WorldStar would even allow. They wouldn't even really care if you were posting a video of somebody getting powerbombed on the concrete and like somebody came up and soccer kicked them. I really don't think they'd be like, oh my god, that's too violent for our website. And if you guys didn't know, John Jones, the UFC fighter, is returning to the UFC. And this dude looks jacked. He's deadlifting in his Instagram video over 550 pounds. And the whole gym stops and looks at him while he lifts it. That's crazy. And the whole bar is like this. It's bending because he's lifting so much weight. And those bars are 45 pounds. And they can hold a lot of weight. But it's crazy to see somebody benching that much or, lifting that much. At least I think so. I never see that in the gym. And the one thing I find funny is when you're in the gym, and don't ever do this, guys, when you're a guy that you're lifting a lot of weight, and you always know those guys that are in the gym, you can hear, they're always sitting there lifting a lot of weight. And it's like, dude, you don't got to yell every time you pump out a weight. I can see you pumping out a little bit of weight here and there, but don't go, because it's like, that's annoying, that's very annoying. But that is my podcast. Like I said, I will have or try to get some people to join me, and we can do it back and forth like a regular podcast. 'Cause I love doing podcasts. Sometimes the only other podcast I know that's like mine, that's with one person on the podcast, is Wax. He's a YouTube / rapper, comedian / hip hop artist. And he basically does an hour podcast, but it's by himself. Usually he doesn't have any guest on the podcast. And podcasts are usually great if you have one or you should have one guest. It could be like me hosting it, but if you have a guest all the time, it's more enjoyable. Even if you had just you and your friend and then you had a guest, that makes it more enjoyable as well. So if you guys ever want to join me on Google+, all you need is a way to record audio. You don't really need a video, but a video would be better. So if you had a little shitty web camera, you could actually upload some footage, and you would have a little podcast, and that's pretty much it. I see a lot of people on YouTube that do it through Google+, and the reason why they do it through Google+ is they have the ability to upload it without having to pay for their podcast, because most podcast services like Podcast One, Spreaker.com, they give you a little bit of free service, and then because Spreaker gives you 10 hours of free service, which is actually pretty much a lot, because they give you half-hour increments, and after the 10 hours, they make you pay for your service unless you go back like I do, which that's the only way I can do it and keep it free, is delete old episodes that are like 6 months to a year old, and then upload new content. But I don't really want to spend $45-$50 a month so I can get better. I wish there was just a way you can do unlimited podcasting and build an audience. Let's say there was a podcasting service like YouTube, but you'd be able to tag your podcast and upload it, and it'd be like a YouTube service. And I think I would join that shit quick, because I love the podcast. I love to shoot the shit and love to talk to you guys. I would love to build an audience and love to just put my shit out there so you guys can love it and enjoy it. And like I said, this podcast is about 20 minutes long. And I don't really think you should be doing podcasts more than 20 to 30 minutes if it's by yourself. Even if it's with a friend, I think 30 minutes is long enough. I don't think some of these podcasts, 2-3 hours, is too long for me. But that's just my opinion. I think doing podcasts where it's like 45-50 minutes can be long, but sometimes the conversation does go long. So that's what a podcast is. It's a conversation between two people just having fun shooting the shit. And this is what I call Shooting the Shit Podcast.